important is boat setup? It's really important. If your boat setup's not, if you're not confident in your boat setup, you won't put yourself in the right position. So I'm adamant that if you want to go and win an event, you need to make sure in your mind you've got the fastest boat on the water. So you've got the best kit, you've got the best boat setup, everything. If you don't do that, you won't put yourself in situations where you'll want to overtake someone. So it's extremely important. But in a GP, it's quite simple to sort out.
Yeah, you need to make sure before every event. Well, you need to make sure your boat's always set up right, rather than turning up to an event thinking, oh, I need to change my settings for the event. You should never have that mentality. Your boat should always be set up right.
So we try to think of the event in mind and try and do some practice somewhere in a similar sort of condition. So we did one day in Pwllheli where it was fortunate the wind was about 12 to 18 knots, which was similar to what it was going to be in Barbados. It was a nice lumpy sea, so we got quite a lot out of doing that one day. We went with Steve Bennett in another boat so we could try a few things and see what worked with the boat setup and to get the boat going quickly.
We always aim for one event, so whether it be the World Championships or the Nationals, we plan for that event. So we might start 6 months before, and all the other events are kind of a lead up for that big event. So for instance, the inlands, you might try something different with your boat setup, knowing that you might not be quite where you are, but you've got to try it so you're ready for the Nationals. You've got to think you're the quickest there. You've got to think you can win it, otherwise you're not going to win it. You've got to be confident that you are the quickest and that you're sharp and you're fit and the boat's ready. But I think at the same time you can never underestimate the people you're sailing against. So never kind of underestimate that they're not going to be on the pace as well.
If your goal for an event is to win it, and it's a 10 race series or 8 race series, you've really got to try and break it down into bite-sized chunks. Because if you start thinking at the beginning about the thing at the end, you'll end up potentially doing making some irrational decisions. So effectively at the start of any regatta, everyone starts on 0 points. So you see the aim of the first race is to put a decent counter on the board and get a decent race off. Sometimes the problem we've had in the past is we haven't started regattas particularly well, and we've always been playing catch up. So, and that's something we're particularly going to work on in the future, is starting better at regatta. But you've got to try and break it down to smaller chunks.
Yeah. I always think you have to break the event down into little steps. So for instance, the last Worlds, we kind of broke that down in our head to 3 two-day events.
And we did rubbish on the first one, won the second 2-day event, and then did rubbish on the third one, hence where we finished.
Yeah.
So. I think it's, first of all, it's deciding that you want to do it, which might sound quite simple, but actually when you turn up to a championship, there's probably only a handful of boats that actually are seriously there to go and win it. Other boats will be there, I want to get a top 10, or if your aim is to get a top 10, you're never going to win an event. Your aim has got to be to win the event. So the top 5 or 6 of the world in Barbados, they would have all said our aim there is to win the event. And that's because all those boats were in those top few positions. So first of all, you've got to decide that's what you want to do. Secondly, then you've got to decide, are you prepared to put the commitment in to make it happen? And that means if the overall game is to win, what little steps do I have to do to make that happen? You've got to make sure you are, if we use Barbados as the right example, you've got to make sure your crew weight is the right weight. Is the equipment good enough? And all those little bits have to be put into place. If you don't have those bits into place, you're not going to contend to win. So effectively it's commitment. There's no reason why you couldn't go and win a Nationals. It would just be, you would have to be prepared to put in a serious amount of commitment over the next few years to do it. So
Yeah.
So we've effectively been sailing since, well, I've sailed since I was 9, Chris is probably similar. That's and
I think for me one of the really important things to take that step to improve is to get the knowledge. So you've really got to read up the right books. You've got to really take on that knowledge, so you can go out there and you know what you're looking at. You know what the sails are doing. You know what the wind's doing, the weather conditions, because you've got that knowledge to react to what happens. I think a lot of people, they get told things and they say around the course, but they don't really push forward and try and sort of advance their knowledge of the sport that's going to get them up there.
You've got to, effectively, what it comes down to is you've got to enjoy practice. So
Yeah.
Chris and I probably enjoy the practice more than we enjoy the racing. So we're effectively prepared to put the hours in to do that. So the problem is trying to get your balance of your work and life and sailing in there.